welcome to another edition of What the Fuck's Happening with the Fucks again. I don't know what that is. Happenings here. To be specified in some future date. Anyway. Yes, who am I? Anyway. Whatever. Great attitude I have. Making videos. A lot of videos, gets sort of samey after a while. For you too, probably. And, just doesn't... No exponential growth or anything. Unfortunately. I am rather impotent as a presenter of philosophy. But it's sort of relative. It's relative to what you think winning is and losing. And so that's sort of the subject a little bit. Because, some idiot in the comments did say something stupid like, Sam Harris is wrong about a lot of things, but he's right about the asymmetry being stupid. I know. It's the other way around, idiot. Sam Harris is right about a lot of things. I mean, he only gets like two things wrong. But anyway. This idea that they can't figure out this asymmetry thing. And then there's this hard problem, of consciousness bullshit that comes up. I saw that Matt of, way back, thou art that, whatever, and made a video. I didn't even watch it. That's how his videos are such mush now. You can't, they're just unconsumable. And had the word hard problem in it or something. And it's not a problem. Consciousness is a function. That's all it is, right? It's something that happens in the universe, like gravity, or magnetism, or electricity through a wire, or something else. It's a mechanical thing that takes place, and as we experience it, it's like you could understand electricity in a lot of different ways. You can understand it theoretically in some kind of weird way. Well, not if you listen to physicists. You won't understand it. You'll understand some kind of weird story they tell you about, strange forces and moving charges and shit. But if you get electrocuted by it, you'll understand it in some other way. Like, I can see this is very disruptive in some way. I'm certainly detecting a disruption. That maybe this thing that happens, disturbs something because I'm sensing disturbance. That kind of, you can kind of deduce your way into an understanding of what it is. And, consciousness provides us with this, we have this disturbing thing, the feelings, and then we have this other part that seems so sensible, like the way I'm constructing these sentences and all that kind of stuff. It's sort of by a program, by rules, very structured. Even mannerisms, they're all part of the structure and creating the functional conveyance of an idea or an understanding. And so it has these two elements that just don't seem to mix very well. But it's not really a hard problem to figure it out, that it's just something that we experience. It's an illusion, so to speak, in the sense it just happens inside of our brain because there's an arrangement, particular arrangement of neurons, and they are in some way creating what we experience, which is, sort of this illusion that we're in a theater watching our life. That, at least that's, I think, the only rational way to interpret it is that you're just watching. You don't really run the projector. The projector just shoots your life in front of you, and you watch it happen, just as I'm experiencing me being me, as I am me. I don't get to construct me. It just constructs. It just pops out of me. So, I've been over that so many times. But it's ideas like that, I don't know how everybody just doesn't say, oh yeah, I totally agree. That's exactly what I experience. Because I'm sure that's what you're experiencing, I'm sure you're not really sitting there actively, consciously doing yourself, in the sense of, I made myself write that sentence, and I just said that in that falsetto voice. I did that I consciously decided to do that. No, you just do it, as the phrase. And that's it. You don't construct any of this crap. The program does. The agendai of your life experience, your what you've practiced, what you've acquired as a technique, your running technique, your swimming technique, your flying, whatever the thing is you do it you have a technique, and that technique is just a byproduct of how you have experienced doing it, and what you've been rewarded and punished for doing, and what you've been able to get away with. I mean, a lot of our mannerisms are just lazy shortcuts, because we can get away with it. Frankly, my potty mouth, just a lazy shortcut, and nothing to be proud of. It's not an accomplishment. I didn't deliberately say, oh yeah, I'm going to go out and construct a really great argument technique of, saying fuck, tard, and cunt. No, that's really not true. Anyway, so the hard problem is really, as I have explained it before, all you have is feelings, which are problem makers. That's what feelings are. Feelings make problems, generally speaking. They need, they compel attention. They say, this is important. There's a stick up my ass. We must remove it somehow, but delicately. And then your brain does the solution thing. So your problem is your hunger. Your brain thinks of solutions. So you have two things, feelings and thoughts. The thoughts are solutions. The feelings make problems real. Now, you could argue that my foot being on fire, in the scheme of the universe, if I didn't feel anything, and that didn't degrade my function in any way or shorten my existence or do anything, the universe would say, who cares? I mean, it can't possibly be important. If nothing's being harmed, then there can be no foul. There's nothing to pay attention to. No problem in need of a solution. Now, the only thing that makes there a need for a solution is the fact that that's not how it works. Because the flame will burn me, and it will diminish me and harm me and do all kinds of negative things that will cause me grief in some way. Some sort of negative experience will be imposed upon me, or at least the perception that it will have a negative consequence. See, a lot of people think dying, mortality, bad, because they don't know that, oh yeah, once you're dead, you're just not going to care. It's no harm at all. You're not going to miss any of it. You don't go to purgatory or anything. There's no downside except the dying process itself. So if you're rational, you can understand that although we feel like that's a problem, dying, you can't intellectually make it a problem. It's only a problem because we feel that way, not because we understand that way. Now, a lot of people do understand that way because you can drive a whole big pile of voodoo and say, about heavens and hells and jeopardies and all kinds of other nonsense that somehow make it rational when it's irrational. They would even be like the Christians. Some of the Christians are hilarious in that sense, right? Because they see their life as burden and horrible. But they know if they kill themselves, God will be mad, so they won't go to heaven. So they can't kill themselves because they won't go to heaven. But yes, they actually do have contempt for their life, which is just hilarious, right? So they just contrive a philosophy that defends what ultimately is their fear and their selfishness. They want to play some more. They haven't, they've played Monopoly, 2,643 times, and they want to get to 50, 650, round number. This incompleteness problem that we sense. Well, anyway, so that sort of gets to the asymmetry in the sense that the universe doesn't care about this nonsense. We're caught up in this fear that we're going to somehow miss out on something, when all there really is your feelings are just problems that need solving. And so again, it's this idea of making a problem real. So again, that's the part that it can't be. There's no real problem in the universe, right? You can't build a universe out of Lego where there's no feeling things and then make it matter. Unless there's a feeling person saying, oh, I love that Lego building, it's so pretty. Unless there's a feeling thing to do this subjective feeling crap on top of it, it can't possibly matter whether it blows up, it falls apart, doesn't fall apart, it doesn't matter what it does. It can't possibly make any difference because nothing can be harmed. Nothing can be pleased. And so therefore it can't matter. So it's only until you create one of these stupid feeling things that you make anything that wasn't really a problem. So we show up to create problem. And feelings just aren't they don't resolve problem, they just make problem. And they make something that isn't a real problem a problem, because it can't be a problem until something can be harmed. So again, there's no scale, there's no plus and minus until you make a human being to impose it on the world by pointing out how, like say this was not a tape dispenser but a ball of radiation. It's got this dangerous potential. But again, it's only dangerous to something that could be irradiated and made sick. Otherwise, it's perfectly fine. And that's how the universe is. Everything's perfectly fine till we show up with our sensitivities, our vulnerabilities, and project importance on all this stuff in the world, because this stuff is either safe, friendly, or unfriendly. Fight or flight. It's got some attitude that we project on it. Not that it has, but that, we make it mean something because we mean something, because we can feel, because we can have this experience of something pleasing us or harming us, torturing us, just doing something negative. So the point is, it's not a really hard problem. You don't need to invent a God to explain why we're conscious. It works, obviously. It creates organisms that are highly motivated and devote their intelligence to real-world scheming, manipulating the environment. And then their senses become focused on acquiring as much detail and valuable information as possible to accomplish the task of solving the feeling problem. I haven't had enough to eat, or it's too cold, or we keep fixing problems that our biology says are problems, mostly. And then our biology is built into some more complex physiological reactions that have to do with procreation and, say, long-term maintenance of your children, this kind of thing. So we end up with emotional devotions and addictions and attachments that are all kind of oriented in the crudest sense. The rudimentary function, the original function, was just to produce tendencies towards certain behavior that would be over time that created a more survivable organism. Back to the winning part. The winners had to have a strategy, and some of the strategies are non-intuitive, not obvious, and they're only made understandable through understanding the context of what you're fighting against. So I've used this metaphor before about a gladiator war, but the gladiators would end up over time evolving to each other. So they're not evolving to some perfect standard of what the perfect fighting machine is. They're evolving to what's the perfect fighting machine to kill this adversary. So if the adversary is a midget, then you're probably not going to be a giant. If the adversary in some sense defines the character of the what the winner's going to look like. He's going to be a composite of the loser and the winner, in the sense that the loser will have a lot to do with the vulnerabilities, the weaknesses of the loser will have a lot to do with what advantages the winner has. So that's why we probably became domestic and tribal and all that stuff, is there was certain advantages to being in a group. Groups can beat up individuals, all that kind of stuff. They can hunt them down and kill them, and they can have a non-fair fight, 10 against 1. They can cheat. And so the same thing would happen in the Olympics, right? If you take the individual sports and all of a sudden you said, well, it doesn't matter, you can have 5 guys lift the weight and against the 1 guy lifting the weight. I mean, you can have 5 guys, run the track, in with batons or whatever against the 1 guy, so you could cheat and the Olympics would change. The winners would look different. Right. So we're just this sloppy mess of what worked over time, and it's made us kind of emotionally retarded, I would argue, in that first, there is no consistent way to win. Lots of different ways. There were different strategies that worked. Different cultures have different traditions based on the fact that that does happen. So some are very chauvinistic, some are very something else. Lots of different ways of interacting with each other and experiencing the rewards and punishments. How we are rewarded, what we enjoy and what we don't like can be decided by some of this genetic crap. What your ancestors were getting off on is sort of going to decide what you're going to get off on. What's noisy, what's too hot, what's too cold, what's too much light, too little light, all that kind of stuff is going to be dictated by some of that heretical crap. So this seems to me, it's almost a trivial conversation from my perspective, just because I have been over it and over and over it, and you do find that people are just belligerently dismissive and unresponsive to the fundamental core argument, which is just so obvious. I mean, why would they continue to talk about hard problems when it just seems, just you do a little bit of internal analysis, you can see what you are, and that there's there's no real hard problem, in the sense that you have a reactive feeling reflex and then you have a intellectual reflex. Your intelligence has information about the speed of light and the permeability of space and some other kind of information, and it can make calculations about how I should shoot myself so I don't get burned as much, because I know the feeling part is telling me that's important. My experience with those feelings tell me it's important. And we can see all these just plain calculations. We can see that if we don't feel good, it puts us in a crappy mood, and lots of crappy things can precipitate from that, because our attitude will suck and blah 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 blah. We can see our psychology right in front of us. It just falls right out of us, and it's not really a hard problem, because we can sort of understand that, oh yes, I have this crude animal that I spent millions of years as an ignorant animal. Essentially, my biology was designed through millions of years as a dumb animal. And that regime of success and good design doesn't fit at all with the zoo life. So it's like the captivity argument for wild animals. Some animals adapt really easy, and then some animals just drop dead, in captivity. And this is sort of what most humans, I would argue, have some problem with. I would say that my neurological disorder, whatever you want to call it, my lack of capacity to adapt to civilization, in a sense, is just an extreme of a gradient that all humans fall on in some respects, and that they desire things they know they shouldn't have, like too young a girl or something, or cheating on the wife, or all the little crimes that we commit against what we know to be the civilized rules, which is you have to make these contracts, and you have to be obedient, and blah blah blah. And there's rogue in everyone a little bit, and they all want to resist being conformed and controlled and denied the freedom to be who they are, and they want to wear dresses or do whatever. And there's all these things confining the expression of what are often not even either natural or civilized interests, but end up being a bastardization of them, a twisted, perverse, hideous monstrosity, where they start desiring to have sex with people in squirrel suits or something, which is fine, but I'm just saying that obviously that's neither natural, nor is that something that is obviously springing from civilization. But zoo life will drive you to things. I mean, obviously a lot of animals also have the same syndrome, especially the simians. They go a little psycho, and start behaving really bizarrely in captivity, in terms of they don't do the natural things anymore in natural ways. They do perverse things, not necessarily harmful or bad, but just perverse. Don't know if I need to go that far of the field, but anyway, so these aren't complicated issues, and it's all comes down to the evolution thing and understanding that's the origin of this game we're playing, and we're being just manipulated by this simple mechanism: make a problem, fix a problem, make a problem, fix a problem. So our physiology keeps making us problems, and our brain has to find solutions. And then some of them are just real dilemmas, like the whole thing of mortality, where we're able to understand, and so we can understand our future, we can see some of it, some of the stuff that is inevitable or highly likely, let's say. We can understand odds and probabilities. We can see the fire on the ground, the little type rope, the swords, pointed up, and we can say, "Why am I going to walk on that? What do I get?" Because we can understand that doesn't look too good, and so I imagine it arises in every human at some point in their life where they start contemplating this deal. I mean, it immediately, I had a problem right from the beginning, when I found out, what do you mean we're all going to die? I mean, you signed that contract? So you basically bought a car, that doesn't have an engine? I mean, Flintstone car or something? I mean, you were dumber than Indians? I mean, you sold, millions of acres for a few beads? I mean, what? You bought into a game where we lose all, just, that's it, you lose. Wrong answer. Here's a cancer in your eye. What? No, come on. But I imagine that has to happen to most people anyway. I mean, there are some people who are just retarded. They really are. And they just go through their whole life saying, wash the dishes, polish. Fluff the pillow. They're just fucking retarded. It's so damn stupid. I mean, they're just little Borgy retards that just have their little habits, and they go through their whole life with a habit, and that's it. They don't, never goes any further than that. I mean, they're really dim in the thought process thing. They don't have any imagination, and they have no ability to add. They see the fire down there and the type rope and the swords pointed up, and they go, shiny, orangey, warm. you know, and they think walking tight ropes is easy. You know, but they're dumb. There's no cracks in it, so I don't have to break my mother's back. That's good, right? Huh? You know, so yeah, so there's no. I mean, I would like to say all people, but you just can't because some people are just so frickin' stupid. So I can't say all people must have to grapple with this idea that I'm in this game, and once I'm in it, I'm attached to it. I mean, I'm feeding on this heroin. You know, the machine does own me. I mean, it is creating that little subtle pain pleasure game it's playing with me. You know, keeping me interested. You know, because I might hit a little, you know, orgasm jackpot here or there or something. You know, get a little relief. Ooh, yeah, that'll feel good. You know, I'll beat my neighbor at bridge or something, and wow, yeah, I'm cool. You know, some kind of whatever the little ego perks we're after. So we get a taste for it. You know, and we just want to smoke another bowl. Oh, come on, just one more bowl. You know, what the hell? You know, come on. And so we're never finished in that sense. And certainly when you're young, you know, you're just getting a feel for this ride, and somebody's letting you know, no, it's going to run out of gas in the middle of nowhere, and you're going to starve to death and die. You know, and it's like, oh man, that just makes buying the car so sucky if you know it's inevitably going to do that. You know, it's inevitably going to fuck you. You know, like, and maybe when you really need it not to, when you're just almost somewhere, and it's going to screw you over. You know, it's just going to say, fuck you, you're stranded and dead. And you're going to get raped by wolves and stuff. Yeah. So that's the dilemma, is that we have these thoughts, okay, that aren't feelings, but they provoke feelings, like of abandonment and betrayal. I mean, I feel betrayed by my parents in the sense that they could be this fucking stupid. You know, I mean, they did better than most people in the sense that they built some kind of nest, but obviously it's just sticks. You know, it just, you know, and it's just a nest. I mean, the rest of the world is hell. And so where am I'm supposed to leave this nest and get killed? Why would I do that? You know, I mean, it's a terrible setup. Failure and death? Oh, gee, thanks for setting me up for that. I mean, I was doing nothing, being perfectly fine, being nothing, and you had to drag me into this be a failure game and then die. So anyway, this is the part that just creates all of this dissidence, and most people have to deal with that, and so they come up with a fairy story that, oh no, it'll be okay, I'll go through a little bit of trouble here and dying, it'll be unpleasant and blah blah blah, but I'll be able to play some more. You know, there's more pinball machines in heaven, and so I'll be back playing pinball again. When the truth is, no, you're going to be born in, like, Mexico and be an illegal immigrant in America and, I don't know, rape a few women and do all kinds of, you know, blah, 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 blah. You're going to be an asshole, again, you know, or a worse asshole, let's put it that way. The odds are, right, if you're watching this video, the odds are, okay, the human that will replace you, let's call it, you know, not reincarnation, just the replacement human, is going to be a worse human. Just the way the laws of averages are just saying, screaming that. They're going to be dumber and less equipped to play civilization. You know, they're going to be cheaters and assholes, drunkards. Well, I probably have a few drunkards listening to this, so, you know, and drug addicts. You really got to see how that's a real performance degrader. It doesn't make you perform better, it just really hurts your performance. In terms of being capable of managing your sloppy footprint, you want to call it. I mean, there's a blood footprint, but I just say whatever the footprint is, green or carbon or blood or however you want to whatever the footprint is, you got to understand that if you're staggering, your footprint's not going to be as good as it could have been. Your performance in life is going to suck. Mostly. Degraded. So, drugs are bad. It's just the truth. Not nagging, though, really. I'm just pointing out that it's obviously a compelling issue for people. It's obviously controlling. I'm just trying to give you one little extra reason. Gary says so. Maybe that'll mean something to you. Gary says I should stop being, what's a souse or whatever, a pothead, dimwit. If I can give you some reason not to be driven. Like I said, there's some people who can play with this stuff. Like, some people can throw knives in the air and catch them, and they always catch them by the handle, and it's no problem. But if you're one of those people, you always get the blade in your hand. Come on. You can't play with it. Okay? Because it controls you. You don't control it. See, I can be comfortable with drugs because I never had one that controlled me except for this stupid nicotine shit. And it owned me completely. I am such its pussy. Fucks me every day. And it's not polite about it. Bad. I understand it's bad. I'm still doing it, but I'm just saying I know it's bad to be controlled. That's all. So if you can do something about it, just push it a little further away, not be stupid about it, then don't be stupid. I really didn't want to do a commercial for, whatever that just was. I just mean that there's so many, you see these, it's like I said, it's just because this week, right? So it's always, there's a context. There's always something that provokes certain kind of, makes it a little clearer. So I saw a video on YouTube, and it was two drunk guys. And, they had a big half-gallon of vodka they just got. And they're just two morons. Black guy, white guy, like homeless. And, and ended up the guy sticking a cigarette butt, right? Expensive cigarette butts, right? These are like homeless dudes, right? With a half-gallon of vodka and plenty of cigarettes. So many cigarettes that they can waste one, stick it in their butt cheeks. And, but you're just watching this, and they're such morons. They're so dirty and stupid. And you're just saying, what a waste. It's just such a fucking... How did you get this useless? That you're sitting there with your half-gallon of vodka on a park bench, putting cigarettes in your butt cheeks. There's nothing there. That's just such a fucking waste. But they're having a good time, So that's the joke of it, right? By the feeling scale, they're winning. But over time, of course, they're losing, because they're not going to feel too good tomorrow. They'll pay for their squandered existence, their squandered opportunities, in brutal kind of ways. So we can see all that. That's really the point. See, so I can see it right there. I'm seeing it. I'm being horrified by just seeing it and saying, "Oh fuck!" I just the thought of the possibility that the moment I take my last breath, right, suffocate dead, and I wake up, as this new ignorant beast, and my destiny is going to be living that life, sticking that cigarette butt in my ass cheeks. Not that I'm above that, frankly, right? I'm just saying, it's just, I guess I tend to think what I do is a little more graceful. And I don't have a hairy ass, so, it helps. I just mean, obviously these two guys don't have YouTube channels talking physics or philosophy. That's all I'm saying. And I think that's sort of redeeming, I would argue. Maybe not. I just mean that I mean, obviously I've paid a horrible price being neurotic, so I can't say I've gotten off easy, because I haven't. But anyway, I mean, it's just kind of obvious. You don't want to be that. That's all. It scares me. I'm just saying, it scares me. Whether that fear is just out of some sort of, I wouldn't want to be ugly, or I wouldn't want to be some other kind of thing, that's negative. So I'm just putting that in a negative category because it doesn't meet my aesthetics. But how much of that is just aesthetics, right? I mean, if the people living in the trailer, who haven't bathed in 3 weeks are happy, But again, the argument is they, over the long term, that strategy doesn't win. Probably. I mean, in terms of they will create enough trouble with their staggering through life. They'll bang into some walls that won't be yielding, and they'll take real hunks of flesh. Whatever the metaphor would be. Better metaphor. Things trailed off a little tangentially. So I keep saying that most of this philosophy stuff just requires you to get away from the garbage, the stuff the routine reflexes of a propagandizing culture that it just keeps pushing bullshit. And all I have to do is be able to step past that and say, well, let's not accept these silly premises of silver linings and other nonsense, and let's look at what's really happening, what's really going to happen, without this delusion that it'll all work out and you're going to have something called golden years and blah, 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 and it'll all be fine, when you can see it in the real world and it doesn't come out all fine. It's, amazing waste takes place. It's a subject I should talk about more, is the whole right to die thing, and just how much money we are pissing away by forcing people to live longer than they want to. And it's just such an insane amount of money. And money's a real thing. I mean, it's an insane amount of wasted labor. That labor could be paid to do something productive rather than something absolutely useless. Cleaning the bed sheets for somebody who's not even, they don't even know who they are. They don't even know who they were, let's put it that way. They're so distant from having any purpose or there being any utility to their continued consumption of resources. And yet we just watch it over and over and over again, and it's not a little bit, it's a gigantic amount of resources. I mean, it's like burning down half the houses in America every year. Just burn them down, destroy that much labor, that much value, for a stupid purpose of we're denying the facts here. We're going to just completely deny what the truth is. That there's no solution. The person is gone. You got to let them go, and they're not going to go on their own. You have to allow it to happen, and you have to have a humane and graceful way you can do it. And all you have to do is accept that you have to make a decision. You can't let God do it, because God's going to just stagger on it. God is going to piss on it. He's not going to do anything constructive. He's not going to make it happen the right way. And it's just a fact. And you see it over and over and over and over again. And it's just so bad. And then I have the same argument I could make about I did in that video that got wiped out by YouTube. So I'll point out, YouTube is continuing to attack my videos. So this week I had 3 or 4 more videos that were put behind age restrictions, which is probably okay. But more importantly, access was denied to Europe, so the Europeans can't watch the videos. And it's just just bullshit. I mean, this whole idea of people passing laws telling them they can't hear somebody else say something is just kind of retarded. I just don't even know why people would do that. For a speech that's not directly threatening, where, people aren't conspiring to perpetrate war or something. I mean, even that, though, people should be able to suggest it, saying, well, yeah, I think a civil war is a good idea. I think we really should, succeed from the Union. I mean, they should be able to say these kind of things. But anyway, I don't want to get into too much politics in that. So I was on a more important subject. This denial of the dismal truth. So you have this whole problem with, like, the St. Jude thing, in my opinion, where they put these kids through extraordinarily horrible adventures in futility. And they do it just, they really do just psych them into it. They just force them, in a sense, to be brave. Don't be a coward. Don't be a pussy. I mean, they're just, it's so bad, in the sense that they give them no right to say, oh, no moss. I mean, if we can't cure this with a few aspirins, I don't really want to play. I don't want you to cut my legs off, and I don't really want to do this whole prosthetic thing and become a little superhero walking on my, fake legs and shit. And blah, blah. I just don't need to write that whole story. Forget it. Let's just start over, with legs that don't got cancer in them. You want to make a new one of me, without cancer in my legs, fine. But there's no point in me doing all the, going through all this horse shit. And they don't give kids a right to do that, to just say, no, it's enough. I get it. I'm unlucky. I'm fucked. Time to go. And we all need that, in a sense, when it's time to go. And we can really make it such a non-negative thing, in the sense it doesn't have to be horrible. You can die nice and peacefully and gracefully, and having kind of positive attitudes and thoughts. And, just recognize it's time to go to sleep and not wake up. That it's really not going to be a horror. You're just going to go to sleep and you're just not going to wake up. It's not going to be that bad. And, I mean, when you think of how much misery and how much money, money is misery. The lack of resources, the lack of labor put to good causes leaves people in misery. So it's a real thing, wasting money. It matters. And you can't get any traction having a conversation about let's fix this. Because, well, to fix it, you have to reject that God has a plan. That God will take care of it. Because He's not going to take care of it. He's not going to do the right thing. And we see the wrong thing happen so much. It's just so stupid to think. I mean, this whole religion thing, it has to be fought and it has to be destroyed, because this is an insidiously stupid fantasy that turns people into unfunctional assholes, thinking that somebody else is going to do it. It's going to be fixed by magic. Magic is going to fix things. Action fixes things, not magic. Thoughts, understanding the problem fixes things. Alright, and having some appreciation for, well, okay, maybe it's not your pain, but the pain is pain. My pain, your pain, it's all pain, it's all bad, it's all the same thing. Save you, save me, same difference. Save them, save me, And they're not, so their brain just isn't even functioning right, because they haven't done this simple thing of understanding that the stuff out there is just as precious as their feelings and their welfare. And once then it's just, if they could do that, if they could understand that connection, then their own reflexes would oblige them to act, because they'd say, okay, I get it. It's really happening to me, so yeah, I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to let that happen to me. I'll pay for prevention. I'll invest in prevention. And, it isn't much more complicated than that. So once you understand the risk, and you understand the stupidity of the game, and that you will be playing, you just won't be wearing the same cosmetic suit, but the same thing is going to be playing. You're going to be John Malkovich thing. You're going to be, trapped in an asshole. Oh, it's the thoughts. It's horrible. So, anyway, I have to find a position. What I gotta do is maybe watch the screen and actually see what the camera's doing. And that light is a little too bright. I look a little better without that. Yeah, I have to put a plant over here, so it diffuses the light a little. Like right there, something like that. I have my Christmas tree in the background, but I don't think you can see it. It's not. It should be there. I guess the chairs. I don't know. It should be somewhere behind the lamp. Just because I haven't used it in years, and it's very nice, those LED things with the. Well, I made it in LED. Actually, I converted it. The fiber optic. It's very, very pleasant thing. But obviously, I don't do Christmas. Lights are nice. Different kinds for different purposes and whatnot. Alright, so is there any other crap that needs to be said? So I think I've said enough. It's the asymmetry argument is for always been for me is that the problem is there's no real way to construct pleasure without first creating its reciprocal. You have to have the hunger, you have to have the thirst, you have to have the need. And that's what pleasures are made out of, is the removal of something negative, actually. It's like somebody can take away a whip, so they're whipping you every day, and they stop whipping you. That's just as good as winning something. So that's what most of it's all made out of, is the whipping stops. A lot of people testify to the, when they die, when they go halfway to being dead, or 3/4 of the way to being dead, that euphoria, their brain experiences euphoria, just a perfect orgasm of sorts. And, I'd say that's somewhat meaningful, in the sense it's a recognition that what our brain is really doing is fighting with swords that don't need to be poking us. We're in a chamber that's just constantly poking us, and we're minimizing the amount of pokes, and that makes us feel like we're winning, because hey, less of those blades are sticking into me, so I'm winning. And we don't really understand that we don't need these desire and need blades to keep poking us. We're not really winning by existing in that quicksand and thinking we're winning because we keep our head above it. It's not winning. So it's a pretty easy argument for me to understand the asymmetry, in the sense that if you understand that the goods aren't real goods. The universe doesn't need any of it. Again, if I was sitting here and somebody suggested to me, came into my house with a big plan for, I'm going to make these aliens. They have 17 million tentacles and blah, 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 blah. And they're going to fly around the universe and, have orgasms on stuff, and then go stuff and have some orgasm. They're just going to jizz on the universe. Yeah, it'd be really cool because it'd be really happy and have fun jizzing on everything. If they asked me to donate 10 cents, I'm not doing it. Well, why would I think that's a great plan? I'm just saying, it can't make any sense. You're not gaining anything real. It's all perception. You have to be addicted before you can be attached. You have to be a magnet to be attached to magnets, kind of thing. And we don't need to be. We don't need to play. And there's certainly a huge downside risk to playing, and I would argue that most circumstances are, we gain pleasure from avoiding harm. So we feel good about not being poor or not having diseases and not having a problem, and the not losing is the biggest win for us. That's really what the game we're playing. Don't lose. That's the game. It's not really win. Just don't lose. So that's the asymmetry. So anyway, now I believe it's enough of a video. I drift over here a little. So sorry, I still haven't done the proper images thing, or haven't figured out exactly how I want to perform these videos, so I might just do some more bullshit videos until I get around to coming up with some new presentation strategy. It might just be about doing this word stuff and some connected images, do some kind of stuff like that. Maybe that'll be enough to create context suitable to the conversation, where the current context is just suitable to the fact that I'm living my life, and and this is a weird time in my life. This countdown to the big 6-0, and all that's connected to that, because that really is where you're really, there's, maybe by the time you're 22, you're at the peak, and it starts to go a little lumpy, but these are big lumps you start heading for. The big stock market. The stock market can do a lot of this little stuff, but then there's the big one. 60 is a big one. But anyway, it's just a lot of stuff like that, just personal life stuff where a lot of stuff has happened. My parents dying, and just a lot of stuff where I'm distracted by personal function, where in the past I was more of a machine. I'm kind of feeling my fleshiness, or some whatever, however you metaphor it. But I'm. Well, that's not a bad little picture. Yes. It's kind of nice, close up. So anyway, kind of baggy pants there. But anyway, this doesn't scare people as much anyway. Hey, he looks doofy. That's okay. It's okay to look doofy. Anyway, it's, then you're losing in other people's perception, and they enjoy watching you lose. That's how it works, right? That really is how it works, unfortunately. It really is just a horrible game we're playing. Really. Don't sell it. Don't push it. It's a bad drug, life. Bad drug. So anyway, till the next time. And I will wait for a better image. I insist. Have a little smoke. Little background music. Well, it's not much of an improvement, but the gorilla is there. It's a very, that was a really good painting. I liked it. I should do more of those. It really was. It worked very well as a concept. The darkness and the gorilla coming out of the darkness, kind of good concept. Anyway, till next time. And such. I really am going to go, I think. Pretty sure. Get centered a little better. And